Hi, kids!
Hey, it's story time with Spider-Gwen.
And me, Spiderman. What are we reading today?
Did I ever tell you how lucky you are by Dr. Seuss.
Oh boy. I'm ready for this one. When I was quite young and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of Dries, and he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgotten it yet.
Here's the desert of Dries. He sat in a terribly prickly place, but he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. When you think things are bad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do.
Just tell yourself, Ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much more, oh, ever so much more, oh, mucky, much, much more unlucky than you.
Be glad you don't work on the Bungle Bung Bridge that they're building across Boober Bay at Bum Ridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful, a whole heaping lot, for the places and people. You're lucky you're not.
Hold that one up good. It's a complicated bridge they have there.
Sure is.
Just suppose, for example, you lived in Gazette and got caught in that traffic on Zat Highway 8. Oh, that doesn't rhyme. I spelled it right. I pronounced it wrong. Gazette! Oh my goodness.
Here's Highway Gazette.
It's Dr. Seuss. I gotta keep up with the rhymes.
Right? Or suppose, just for instance, you lived in Gazare, with your bedroom up here and your bathroom up there.
Suppose, just suppose, you were poor Herbie Hart, who has taken his thrum-de-boo-later apart. He never will get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the gick or the goor fits in the scrux or the snux or the snore. Yes, Ducky, you're lucky you're not Herbie Hart, who's taken his thrum-dimbulator apart. Okay, that's some tough reading. I'm taking credit for that. Think they work you too hard? Think of poor Alisard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard, and it's quick-growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all his stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in the hay is the piffluous pay of 2 duklas a day, and Ollie can't live on such piffluous pay. So...
Do you imagine mowing that grass?
Mowing and growing.
He has to paint flagpoles on Sundays in Grooves. How lucky you are, you don't live in his shoes. And poor Mr. Bix, every morning at 6, poor Mr. Bix, has his borfin to fix. It doesn't seem fair, it just doesn't seem right, but his borfin just seems to go schlump every night. It schlumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figures it's due to the local night air. It takes him all day to unschlump it, and then the night air comes back and it schlumps once again. So don't you feel blue, don't get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a borfin that schlumps.
So schlumpy. And while we are at it, consider the schlotz, the crumple-horn, web-footed, green-bearded schlotz, whose tail is entangled in unsolvable knots. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do.
That's quite a tangled tail. And you're lucky indeed you don't ride a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whammel. A whammel, you know, is a sort of a saddle, held on by a button that's known as a faddle. And boy, if your old wham faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, ducky, you're gone like a goose.
And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-dotter. He has to cross T's, he has to dot I's. In an I and T factory out in Van Nuys. One after the other after the other.
And you don't want to dot your T's and cross your I's, that's for sure. Oh, the jobs people work at. Out west near Hotch Hotch, there's a Hotch Hotcher bee watcher. His job is to watch, is to keep both eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched, but in spite of his watched, that bee didn't work any harder, not much.
Much? Alright. So then somebody said, our old bee-watching man just isn't bee-watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another Hotch Hotcher. The thing that we need is a bee-watcher-watcher. Well.
You might know where this is gonna go.
The bee-watcher-watcher watched the bee-watcher. He didn't watch well, so another Hotch Hotcher had to come in as a watcher-watcher-watcher. And today all the Hotchers who live on Hotch Hotch are watching on watcher-watcher-watching-watch. Watching, and the watcher who's watching the bee, you're not a Hotch Hotcher, you're lucky, you see. What a bureaucratic mess.
And how fortunate you're not Professor DeBreeze, who has spent the past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. And those ducks just don't seem to be getting it.
And think of the poor puffing Pugelhorn players who have to parade down the Pugelhorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Puboken. It's awful how often their pugels get broken. Just terrible.
But not surprising, given the way they get down those stairs. And oh, just suppose your poor Harry Haddo, try as he will, he can't make any shadow. He thinks that, perhaps, something's wrong with his grizz, and I think, by golly, there probably is.
Do you see him there with no shadow? It's a grizz problem. And the brothers Bazoo, the poor brothers Bazoo, suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, ducky, some people are muchly, oh ever so muchly more unlucky than you.
And suppose that you lived in that forest in France, where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants. But your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy, and you ought to be shouting, how lucky am I?
There goes his pants. And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladish. You're not Farmer Falkenberg's 17th radish.
Looks like it's getting munched by a worm there. And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Gown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town, in the ruins of Ronk. Ronk is rather run down.
And you're so lucky you're not a left sock, left behind by mistake in the caverns of Croc.
You see the sock on there?
The left sock in particular.
Thank goodness for all of the things you are not. Thank goodness you're not something someone forgot and left all alone in some punkerish place, like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space.
Don't leave me hanging. That's why I say, ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, oh, ever so much, so muchly, much more unlucky than you.
All right, well, that's the end of our story time.
Until next time, stay super, you guys.
Hey, kids.
Hi there. I'm Spiderman.
And I'm Spider-Gwen.
We're going to read a book for you now.
It's story time. Cat Kong.
By Dav Pilkey. Always a favorite. This particular book stars a cast including Flash as Professor Vincent Varmint,
Rabies as Rosie Rodent,
Dwayne as Captain Charles Limburger,
and Blueberry as the monster.
oh man.
One dark and perilous night, 3 mouse explorers sailed toward a strange, uncharted land.
Captain Charles Limburger steered the tiny vessel while Dr. Vincent Varmint and his beautiful assistant Rosie Rodent looked on.
When they reached the island, the 3 explorers were astonished. A group of natives was performing an ancient ceremony, offering up a sacrificial can of tuna fish and repeating a mysterious chant.
Here, Kiti Kiti. Here, Kiti Kiti. Here, Kiti Kiti Kiti. Suddenly, the island began to tremble.
Crashing through the thick forest came the most frightening creature ever known to mouse kind, the mighty Cat Kong.
Meowing and hissing ferociously, the colossal cat took 3 giant kitty steps.
And tripped over the tuna fish can. Clunk! Cat Kong bumped his head on the ground and was knocked out cold.
If only we could bring him back to the city with us, said Dr. Varmint. No, replied Rosie Rodent. It would be wrong to take this creature away from its natural habitat just to satisfy our scientific curiosity. Forget science, squeaked Dr. Varmint. Think of the money we could make.
So, the 3 explorers wrapped Cat Kong in a giant burlap bag and tied him tightly to the ship.
As they sailed back to the great city of Mouseopolis, they took special care not to let the cat out of the bag.
Several days later, in downtown Mouseopolis, Dr. Varmint unveiled his discovery to a sold-out crowd. Ladies and gentlemice, he squeaked, I give you Cat Kong, the 9-lived wonder of the world. And the audience cheered.
Cat Kong, however, was not amused. The towering tomcat hissed and meowed wildly. Do not be afraid, Dr. Varmint told the crowd. There is no way this creature can escape.
Unless it did, it's right there.
Oh boy. Don't mind Spider Cat. Just hanging out here.
I repeat, there is no way this creature can escape.
Well, actually, I could be wrong about that. Cat Kong, you gotta calm down. It's story time.
Soon, the city of Mouseopolis was in a panic. The ferocious feline tore through the streets, knocking down buildings, ripping out power lines, and generally causing quite a ruckus.
Captain Charles Limburger rushed off to organize a counterattack team, while the beautiful Rosie Rodent watched the destruction from her apartment window. "Help!" cried the engineer. "The cat's got my train!"
"Help!" squeaked the butcher. "The cat's got my tongue!"
"Help!" shrieked Rosie. "The cat's got me!"
Soon, the crazed cat was heading straight for the top of the Romano Inn.
And with the beautiful Rosie tailing behind. Tailing.
A fleet of airplanes quickly flew into action, but their weapons were useless against the meowing menace. It seemed as if nothing could stop the terrifying Cat Kong.
Then, suddenly, a squeaking ray of hope rocketed through the thick clouds of gloom and despair. Captain Charles Limburger to the rescue!
Captain Limburger had a plan. He swooped close to Cat Kong and held out a red package with gold ribbons. "Hey, Cat," he shouted, "look what I've got!" He circled again and again, shouting, "You'll never guess what's in the package!"
Cat Kong stared intensely at the red package. With each passing second, the colossal kitty's interest grew and grew. Finally, Cat Kong could stand it no longer. He had to find out what was inside that package. With one swift paw, the puzzled pussy cat reached out for the red package and lost his balance. There he goes.
When the dust settled, a crowd of mice gathered to view the final resting place of the mighty Cat Kong. "He's fallen," said one mouse.
"And he can't get up," said another. "Well," said the chief of police, "it looks as if Beauty killed the beast." Quite a big cat butt.
"No," said Dr. Varmint as he looked sadly into the glowing red horizon. "It was curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat."
The end.
Thank you for joining us for story time, and stay super.